Oh, this election's a doozy, but what's not is that Black Friday coupon. Biggest coupon, 60% off. Check it out down below, and the new course is only $2.99. Check it out. That's for business and business lessons, starting companies, LLCs, even if you're an employee, starting side hustles to maximize tax deductions. Super cool. Check it out. Well, once again, leading indicators of election results and polls were completely wrong. Not only have we not seen the red wave that was expected throughout the country, that is a Republican wave of victories, especially those propped up by Donald Trump, but we ended up in a situation where we just still don't know who's even going to have control of Congress. We still have uncertainty, and it's now the day after the election. So, where do we stand? Well, right now we stand with a narrow House competition. The New York Times is projecting that Republicans will take about 224 seats, which would give them a narrow edge of 6 seats above Democrats. This could be useful for Republicans to delay other Democratic priorities like more spending for green energy projects, corporate tax hikes, taking, let's say, the corporate tax rate from 21% to 25 or even 28% back to where it used to be. But this House edge is really too small to suggest that Republicans are going to be able to do anything meaningful themselves. See, if Republicans had a nice edge in the House and were able to take the Senate, maybe they could at least send Republican bills to Joe Biden and then politically pressure him to sign them or at least negotiate with them. But without Republicans having full control of Congress, it's unlikely Republicans are actually going to be able to send any kind of meaningful legislation that's not bipartisan over to Biden. And that means very little political pressure on Biden. He got a lot of his policies done in the first 2 years, so maybe there wasn't much pressure in the first place. But the Senate is not leaning towards the Republicans at all. In fact, so far, Republicans have flipped no seats, and instead, Democrats flipped the Pennsylvania seat. Mr. Dr. Oz lost to John Fetterman, and we're likely to see, that was a flip seat by the way, and we're likely to see Warnock now beat Herschell, who was a Trump-endorsed candidate and former football star. We think that Georgia might end up going to a December 6th runoff, but unlike the last time we had a Georgia runoff on January 5th, 2021, remember streaming that one live, and Biden was promising everyone $1,400 stimulus checks if they just voted in that Georgia runoff election. Unlike last time, the Georgia election might not actually matter. And that's because Republicans lost that Pennsylvania seat to Democrats. Democrats are already ahead, so the Senate now needs to see 2 seats go to Republicans, and at this point, that seems unlikely for Republicans to get Senate control, which is something that's actually very exciting for Joe Biden, because if Republicans took control of the Senate, they would be able to block Biden nominees as well as judges under Republican control. But it doesn't look like the Senate is going to go towards Republican control. In fact, Predictit, the betting website, predictit.org, is betting that the House will go Republican with a narrow lead at 87 cents, and the Senate will end up in Democratic control with a lead of 81 cents in the betting markets, roughly percentages. Now, right now, it looks like Congress is going to end up at a relative standstill. Now, what's actually remarkable is a lot of folks thought this was going to be a big referendum on Joe Biden, but he actually had the best midterm performance of president in 20 years. Not only this, but Kevin McCarthy told everyone, hey, when you wake up in the morning, I'm going to be Speaker of the House and Nancy Pelosi won't be anymore. And while that could still happen, we still don't actually have the answer. So certainty still hasn't come. But it doesn't look like we're going to have a Mitch McConnell majority leader in the Senate. And the only place that really saw a red wave was actually under Ron Desantis, who might be running against Donald Trump in the future in 2024. Ron Desantis is the governor of Florida. He was reelected, and that's one place where 3 House seats were flipped from Democrats to Republicans, and Miami-Dade County, a very liberal county, ended up voting for Ron DeSantis over the Democratic option. A quick breakdown of Ron DeSantis' victory speech. Ron DeSantis says that Florida is the place where woke goes to die. He stands for facts versus fear, law and order versus rights and crime, and freedom above all, a message that really seemed to resonate with voters, in contrast to what we saw with, well, Donald Trump's endorsements. Kari, who's endorsed by Donald Trump, is so far losing, although that race isn't over yet, her opportunity to become governor in Arizona. Herschell doesn't look likely to win, who was another Trump endorsee, and Democrats flipped two battleground states for a presidential election regarding the governors in those states. Those battleground states are Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and we saw those Republican governor seats flip to Democrat, which is not the best showing for Donald Trump, though this video by no means is designed to diss Donald Trump. It's just to suggest Ron DeSantis can walk away happy from tonight's wins, and Donald Trump maybe not so much. What's also interesting is that Donald Trump went out of his way to actually slam Ron DeSantis and suggest that he would expose information about Ron DeSantis if Ron DeSantis decided to run in 2024. Donald Trump said, if he runs, he could hurt himself very badly. I would tell you things about him that won't be very flattering. I know more about him than anybody, other than perhaps his wife, as reported by Bloomberg. Now, in California gave the big middle finger to sports betting in California. Both online sports wagering and online sports wagering on tribal lands both failed pretty miserably. We're at 70.7% and 83.6% no votes on those. It's props 26 and 28 in that order. And we did also see in California tight races for the LA mayor race. That's still not decided, although it does look like there's a slight lead for Mr. Caruso, the Republican, though again, that race only has about 30% of votes counted, so TBD for Los Angeles, a pretty dang closely watched race throughout the country, especially if an area like LA decides we're so tired of the homelessness and the problems in LA, let's give a Republican the baton. Obviously, Gavin Newsom's back in. There wasn't really competition for him here in 2022 compared to the recall where there was some serious competition. That's when I was running for governor as well last year. And folks, look, when it comes to the stock market, the uncertainty of not knowing yet if, Republicans are actually going to take control of the House is something that is going to probably frustrate the stock market today. And it means we just get to look forward to CPI data tomorrow. So fingers crossed as we wait to see, are we going to have gridlock, which is often good for stocks, or are Democrats going to maintain full control, which could actually be good for certain stocks, like green energy stocks. Nobody knows, and I'll tell you, there's nothing the stock market likes or dislikes more than nobody knows. Anyway, that's the rundown so far. Good luck today.